Let me give you a secret, a quiet law that governs why some struggle for decades while others seem to multiply success year after year. Money follows value, not noise, not effort, not even time. It follows value. If you want more, serve more. If you want growth, contribute more. If you want wealth, solve better problems. If you want more money, stop thinking about what you lack and start thinking about what you can become. That's the great shift. The difference between minimum wage and $1 million income isn't luck. It isn't even just talent, it's value. A janitor can learn to manage, a manager can learn to lead, and a leader can learn to multiply value through others. And every step up the ladder is measured not by hours worked, but by problems solved, by people served, by wisdom applied. When I was young, I thought money was the goal, but I learned that money is simply the reward. The real goal is to build yourself into someone the marketplace can't ignore. Someone with ideas, with integrity, with skill, and with strategy. In today's session, we're going to uncover exactly how to shift from chasing money to attracting it. You'll learn the core mindset differences between those who stay broke and those who build wealth. You'll discover practical daily strategies to increase your marketplace value and how to get paid for what you know, not just what you do. Let's begin. Let me tell you something that changed my life. Problems are not to be avoided, they are to be studied. You see, most people run from problems like they're fire. They avoid them, complain about them, wish they'd go away. But the wealthy, the builders, the ones who make it, they chase problems. Why? Because money doesn't come from time, it comes from value. And value is created when you solve something that matters. You want to increase your income? Increase the size of the problem you're willing to tackle. I remember when I was broke, barely getting by. My problems were small: how to pay the electric bill, how to stretch groceries for one more week. And back then I thought if I could just work harder, maybe take on another part-time job, I'd get ahead. But the truth is I wasn't poor because I didn't work hard. I was poor because I wasn't valuable in the marketplace. Harsh, but true. I had to learn that your income doesn't grow when you get older, it grows when your value increases. One day a mentor asked me a question I'll never forget. He said, "What problems are you solving that are worth $10,000? I was stunned. I couldn't think of one. He said, "Then that's why you're not earning it." It was a wake-up call. From that day, I stopped looking at income and started looking at problems. Real problems. The kind people lose sleep over. The kind that affect thousands. And once I shifted my thinking, my opportunities shifted too. Think about it. The janitor cleans up problem spills, trash. The neurosurgeon solves a different kind of problem, brain trauma. Now both are noble. But the marketplace pays based on the value of the problem solved, not how long it takes to solve it. The janitor may work 8 hours and get $15 an hour. The surgeon may work 2 hours and get $50,000. It's not about time, it's about value. And value is tied directly to the size and importance of the problem. So how do you start solving bigger problems? You train your eyes to see them. You ask better questions. Everywhere you go, look around and ask, what's missing here? What's frustrating people? What isn't working as it should? That's how entrepreneurs are born. That's how side hustles begin. That's how careers pivot and fortunes are made. Because someone decided to see problems as invitations, not interruptions. Years ago, I noticed that small business owners struggled with keeping track of customer follow-ups. They were losing sales, not because they lacked effort, but because they didn't have a system. So I built one. Nothing fancy, just a process that helped them stay in touch consistently. It solved a real problem. It wasn't flashy, but it was valuable. And that little system made me more money than I could have imagined. So here's the rule. If you want to be paid like a millionaire, solve $1 million problems. Don't wait for someone to assign them to you. Go find them. Your value will rise in direct proportion to the size of the problems you're willing to solve. Don't ask for a raise. Raise the level of your thinking, and the raise will find you. And remember this, the marketplace is never confused. It pays value, not effort. So become a person who sees what others miss. That's where wealth begins. When I was broke, I wasn't just broke in the bank, I was broke in my thinking. I thought rich people were lucky. I thought success was something you stumbled into, like tripping into a gold mine. But one day, a mentor told me something that shifted my perspective forever. He said, success leaves clues. If someone is wealthy, it's because they've done things consistently that create wealth. Your job is not to envy them, your job is to study them. And I took that seriously. Now I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you're walking through the forest. You want to reach the mountain peak, but the path is dense, confusing, overgrown. You could spend years wandering, cutting through brush, making mistakes, or you could find the footprints of someone who's already made the climb and follow them. Wealth is no different. There are real people walking this earth right now who are already doing what you want to do. They're earning what you want to earn. They're living how you want to live. The question is, are you studying them? See, most people look at the success of others and do one of two things. They criticize it or they copy only the surface. They mimic the lifestyle, but not the mindset. They buy the car, but never build the character. They want the results without the routine. But the wealthy don't just do rich things, they think rich thoughts. They structure their days with purpose. They build disciplines that produce results. And they repeat them relentlessly. Early in my career, I began to study successful people. I'd watch how they moved, how they talked, what they read, how they took notes. One of the first things I noticed, they all valued their time. They didn't waste their mornings scrolling, gossiping, or drifting. They had rituals, morning routines, evening reflections, reading schedules, goal reviews. I didn't need to invent a new success formula. I just needed to copy one that already worked. I remember one gentleman I admired who earned 10 times what I did. And I was tempted to believe he was smarter, more connected, just lucky. But I paid attention. He arrived early, stayed focused, read every day, asked great questions, and tracked every dollar. And over time, I started doing the same. Not perfectly, but persistently. And slowly my income began to change. Not because I got a better boss or a bigger opportunity, but because I became a better person with a better blueprint. And here's something else to notice. Successful people don't just study other successes. They study their own behavior. They review their decisions, their wins, their mistakes. They treat life like a living textbook. So if you're not learning from someone every day, either through a mentor, a book, a podcast, or your own reflection, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, your income won't either. So here's a practical step. Write down the names of 3 people who are doing what you want to do. Now go study them. Read their work. Watch their interviews. Analyze their routines. Don't just admire their outcome model, their mindset. And as you mimic their disciplines, their thought patterns, and their choices, you'll find yourself becoming the kind of person who earns more because you've become more. The fastest path to wealth is not guessing, it's modeling. I used to think money was the goal. Like many people, I was chasing the paycheck, the next raise, the next opportunity to get a little more. I was running after money like it was some elusive prize, always just out of reach. But one day, I learned a lesson that shifted everything for me. Money is the shadow, value is the substance, and a shadow can't move until the substance does. The more valuable you become, the more money naturally follows. Not out of luck, but as a result of the law of value. Think about it. A tree doesn't grow taller because it wants more shade. The shade is just a byproduct of the tree's growth. It's the same with money. It's a byproduct of your personal growth, your value, your contribution. The problem is most people are trying to stretch their shadow without growing their tree. They focus on looking richer instead of becoming more useful. They want more pay without more purpose. That's why they struggle. They're chasing the shadow instead of nurturing the substance. I remember being broke and desperate, asking myself every day, how can I get more? But that's the wrong question. It's a question that comes from lack. Wealthy people ask, how can I become more? It's a question that produces value. The rich don't just want more money, they want to become so valuable that money becomes a side effect. They know that money is a scoreboard, not the game. The game is contribution. The game is mastery. The game is personal development. And when you master those, the money comes anyway. I knew a young man once who wanted to be rich. He was constantly looking for shortcuts, crypto tips, lottery tickets, side hustles that promised fast returns, but none of it worked. Why? Because he never built value. He wanted wealth to rescue him, not reflect him. So I sat him down and told him, don't chase money, chase skill, chase character, chase wisdom. Because when you become the kind of person who produces value, money will start chasing you. The question then becomes, how do you increase your value? You do it the same way you increase the value of any asset, you improve it. You study, you practice, you build, you develop a rare skill, a sharp mind, a strong network. You solve problems that others run from. You do the hard things that most avoid. That's how you grow your value. And when your value goes up, so does your income. Not immediately, but inevitably. One of the best decisions I ever made was to stop asking how I could earn more this week and start asking how I could become more useful this year. That's what led me to read more books, to attend more seminars, to develop my speaking, to mentor others. I didn't do those things to look good. I did them to grow roots. And the deeper the roots, the higher the branches. So if you're struggling financially, stop looking at your bank account and start looking in the mirror. What skills have you developed? What problems can you solve? What knowledge are you mastering? Money is just a report card. If the grades are low, the answer isn't to complain, it's to study harder, live wiser, and give more. Because when you shift from getting to becoming, you stop chasing shadows and you start casting one that wealth can't help but follow. One of the most powerful shifts I ever made in my life was learning to say no. Early on, I was eager, maybe too eager, to say yes to everything. Invitations, side projects, social events, even distractions that didn't serve my goals. I thought every opportunity was a step forward. But what I soon discovered was the opposite. Saying yes to too many things scattered my focus and drained my energy. I was busy but not productive. I was active but not advancing. The truth is, most people stay broke because they overcommit to distractions and undercommit to their purpose. They spread themselves thin, trying to please everyone and do everything. But wealth requires focus, discipline, and a clear sense of priority. You can't build an empire if you're constantly juggling tasks that don't matter. The rich know this well. Their time is their most valuable currency, and they protect it fiercely. How do you fix this? Start by deciding in advance what's worth your time and attention. This means getting very clear about your goals, your financial goals, your personal goals, your growth goals. Once you know where you want to go, every opportunity or request that doesn't align becomes easier to say no to. Guard your calendar like it's your bank account, because every minute you spend on distractions is a dollar you lose from your future prosperity. It helps to remember this. Every yes to distraction is a no to destiny. I've seen too many people get caught in the trap of constant busyness, thinking that doing more will get them somewhere. But it doesn't. Doing more of the wrong things only leads to exhaustion and frustration. Wealth is created through focused, intentional action, not scattered effort. One practical way to start is by creating boundaries. Block off time each day or week solely for your most important tasks. Turn off notifications when you're working. Learn to politely decline invitations that don't serve your vision. When you get a request, pause and ask yourself, is this a step toward my goals or away from them? If it's the latter, be brave enough to say no. I remember when I first started applying this principle, it felt uncomfortable. I worried people would think I was rude or unhelpful. But the more I protected my time, the more I realized that my purpose required it. Saying no wasn't rejection, it was redirection. It was choosing to honor my vision and my future. So, start saying no more often, strategically. Guard your time, protect your focus, and watch how your life begins to align with your destiny. Because success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing what matters most. Most people fail to understand the true power of compounding because they think in short bursts, in days or months, rather than in decades. It's this short-term mindset that keeps them trapped in poverty. The wealthy, however, play the long game. They recognize that wealth is rarely built overnight, but is the result of consistent, disciplined effort stretched over many years. When I first started learning about money, I realized the most valuable asset I had wasn't my job or even my skills, it was time. Time to let my money grow, year after year, silently compounding and multiplying. But this kind of growth requires patience and faith, two things that many struggle with. Think about this. If you save just $5 a day and invest it wisely, over a few decades, that small daily amount could grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not magic. This is the law of compounding, where the interest you earn starts earning interest itself. But for this to happen, you must start early and be consistent. The earlier you begin, the longer your money has to work for you, turning small seeds into a mighty forest. The problem is, most people wait. They delay saving because they think they need more money, or they believe they're too young or too old to start. That kind of thinking is a trap. Time is the secret weapon that multiplies wealth. Waiting is the silent thief of opportunity. Tracking the long game means setting goals not just for next month or next year, but for 10, 20, or even 30 years ahead. What kind of life do you want at retirement? What legacy do you want to leave? Those questions help you hold on to the discipline necessary to save and invest regularly, even when it's tempting to spend instead. In my own journey, I wasn't born wealthy. I didn't come from privilege. What I had was a willingness to start small and be consistent. I put money aside, studied investments, and trusted that over time my efforts would pay off. It was never about luck. It was about commitment to the long haul. So, let compounding be your silent partner. Don't focus on quick wins or instant results. Focus on starting now, saving regularly, and trusting the process. When you think in decades instead of days, your money will work harder than you ever could alone. Remember, wealth isn't created by what you earn today, but by what you do with it over time. That's the secret that will transform your financial future. Most people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their days with endless tasks, meetings, emails, and distractions, thinking that all this activity will somehow lead to success. But busyness without focus is like rowing a boat in every direction. You end up nowhere fast. This is why many stay broke, trapped in a cycle of hectic motion but little progress. The wealthy understand that not all tasks carry equal weight. There's a principle often overlooked. 20% of your efforts yield 80% of your results. The key to building wealth is learning to identify that vital 20%, the few activities that truly move the needle, and then pouring your energy into mastering those while letting go of the rest. In my early days, I noticed people around me working harder than ever, yet not getting ahead. I realized that working hard without working smart was a recipe for stagnation. So, I started paying attention to what actions actually produced results. What calls led to new opportunities? What habits increased my income? What investments generated returns? The answers were clear. A small fraction of efforts were responsible for the bulk of my success. How do you find this 20%? Start by tracking your daily activities and outcomes honestly. Write down everything you do and then reflect on what brought value, money, or growth. Which actions brought you closer to your financial goals? Those are your gold mines. Once identified, cut or delegate the less important tasks. This requires discipline and clarity about your goals. Wealth is built through focused excellence, not scattered energy. This means saying no to distractions and non-essential tasks, even when they seem urgent. It means prioritizing quality over quantity. It means showing up every day to the few things that really matter and doing them better than anyone else. One practical example from my life was learning to focus on personal development and building relationships with mentors rather than trying to do everything on my own. That focus opened doors and multiplied my value far beyond what random efforts could. So, stop majoring in minor things. Your time and energy are precious. Invest them wisely. Identify the few tasks that generate the most wealth and master them relentlessly. That focused excellence is the bridge between poverty and prosperity. One of the biggest reasons people remain stuck financially is that they don't realize how much time slips away without purpose. Time is the raw material from which all wealth is built. Yet many treat it carelessly, wasting hours on distractions, trivial tasks, or things that don't advance their goals. This is why they stay broke. They don't measure how they invest their most precious asset. To break free, you must begin measuring your return on investment, your ROI, on time, just as you would on money. This means sitting down once a week, preferably on a Sunday, and reviewing how you spent your time over the last 7 days. Ask yourself, which activities brought me closer to financial growth? Which moments improved my skills, expanded my network, or moved me forward in my business? Be brutally honest. This practice isn't about guilt or judgment, it's about clarity and control. When you see where your time truly goes, you can start to make smarter choices. You might find you spent too many hours scrolling social media, watching television, or stuck in busy work that didn't pay off. At the same time, you may discover that the few hours spent reading, planning, or learning generated real momentum. Once you've identified your high ROI activities, double down on them. Schedule more time for what works and cut back on what doesn't. Treat your time as you would your money a valuable investment. Just as you wouldn't throw away cash on things that don't yield returns. Don't throw away your hours on activities that don't build your future. In my own journey, this weekly review became a powerful habit. I learned to protect my calendar fiercely. If a meeting or task didn't contribute to my growth or wealth, I said no or delegated it. This shift made all the difference because it kept me focused on what mattered most. Remember, time isn't just money. Time is money. It's your most valuable currency, your capital for building wealth. Treat it with the respect it deserves. Measure it weekly and invest it wisely. When you master this, your financial future will thank you. It's a simple truth often overlooked. Wealth flows to those who produce, not just consume. Most people stay broke because their habits revolve around consumption, watching endless entertainment, buying more things, or consuming information passively without applying it. This creates a drain on resources without building value. The richer you want to become, the more you must shift your identity from being a consumer to becoming a producer. In the early days of my journey, I noticed how easy it was to get caught in the cycle of consumption. I'd watch television for hours, listen to gossip, or scroll through distractions without creating anything meaningful. But the moment I started focusing on producing, whether it was writing notes, speaking, sharing ideas, or solving problems, everything changed. My energy shifted from depletion to creation, and with it, my financial reality improved. Producing value means contributing something useful, new, or helpful to others. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It can be as simple as writing a thoughtful article, teaching a skill to a friend, building a small project, or finding solutions to everyday problems. What matters is the mindset. Every day, create more value than you consume. This shift isn't just about money. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts wealth naturally. Producers generate ideas, products, services, and opportunities. Consumers only accumulate expenses and drain their resources. A practical step is to start small but consistent. Set a daily goal to create something, a blog post, a helpful comment, a new skill practice, a side project. Measure your progress by what you add to the world, not just what you take from it. As you produce more, You'll find doors opening, networks expanding, and income opportunities arising. Remember, wealth follows value, and value follows production. To break free from the poverty mindset, stop living as a consumer alone. Become a producer, create, share, solve, and watch how your financial life transforms. Most people never break free from poverty because they confuse assets with liabilities. They see a new car, designer clothes, or the latest gadgets and think these things symbolize success. But what they fail to realize is that these purchases drain their wallets rather than build them up. The truth is, true wealth comes not from what you own, but from what owns you, the assets that generate income, grow in value, and multiply over time. When I first began my financial journey, I too had the temptation to spend on comforts and status symbols. It's a natural human desire to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But what separates the wealthy from the rest is the discipline to delay gratification. They understand that the road to freedom requires patience and focus on building assets first. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket regularly. This could be rental properties, stocks, businesses, or intellectual property like books and courses. Each asset works like a silent employee, earning income whether you're actively working or not. A liability, on the other hand, is something that takes money out, car payments, credit card debt, expensive habits. The practical step is to reverse the common habit. Instead of buying liabilities first, invest every spare dollar into assets. For example, before upgrading your car, build a rental property or start a small business that generates cash flow. Instead of splurging on the latest fashion, put money into stocks or create a digital product that sells while you sleep. It's about buying freedom before comfort. The comfort that comes from a shiny car or a fancy wardrobe is temporary and costly. The freedom from assets is lasting and empowering. I remember the day I chose to forego a luxury purchase and instead put that money into an investment that paid dividends over time. It wasn't glamorous, but it was the turning point in my financial life. Every dollar invested in assets is a seed planted for future harvest. The more assets you build, the more your money works for you instead of you working for money. This is the mindset shift from scarcity to abundance, from short-term gratification to long-term wealth. So, before you buy the next thing, ask yourself, is this an asset or a liability? Will this bring me closer to financial freedom or pull me further away? The wise answer always points toward building assets first. Your financial future depends on this choice. In today's fast-moving world, your reputation is more valuable than any dollar in the bank. People don't just buy products or services. They buy trust, confidence, and the promise of value tied to your name. Your personal brand is essentially your reputation made visible. It's how the world sees you, hears about you, and remembers you. If you want to build lasting wealth, you must build a personal brand that stands for excellence, reliability, and results. Early in my journey, I realized that what I knew was important, but how others perceived me was just as critical. People want to do business with those they respect, admire, and believe will deliver. A strong personal brand acts like a magnet, attracting opportunities, clients, and partnerships. It opens doors that money alone cannot buy. Building a personal brand begins with integrity. It's about consistently showing up, delivering on promises, and communicating clearly. It's about becoming someone who others can count on, whether in business or in life. When people associate your name with trustworthiness and value, they're willing to pay a premium for what you offer. The practical step is to start shaping your brand intentionally. Think about the qualities you want to be known for. Are you an expert in your field? A problem solver? A person of honesty and character? Once you clarify this, align your actions, words, and even your online presence with that image. Share your knowledge generously. Help others without expecting immediate returns, and always over-deliver when given the chance. In today's digital age, your online presence is your storefront. LinkedIn, social media, blogs, these platforms allow you to tell your story, share your insights, and demonstrate your expertise. Make sure every post, every comment, every interaction reflects the value you want to be known for. Avoid drama, negativity, and distractions that erode your credibility. Building your personal brand isn't about self-promotion. It's about adding value consistently until your name itself becomes a promise of quality. Over time, that reputation compounds. Just like money in a savings account, it leads to referrals, invitations, and deals that others only dream about. Remember, your name is the most powerful asset you have. Invest in it daily by becoming the kind of person who adds value, keeps commitments, and uplifts others. The wealth you build will be not just financial, but the legacy of trust and respect that lasts long after the money is made. Mistakes aren't the enemy of wealth. Repeating the same mistake is. Many stay trapped in poverty not because they falter once or twice, but because they never pause to learn and adjust. I've seen countless people make the same financial errors again and again, expecting different results. True growth comes when you transform each misstep into a stepping stone. When I was starting out, I made my share of bad investments and costly decisions. At first, I reacted with frustration and regret. But then I realized that every failure carried a lesson, if only I was willing to see it. That's when I began a practice that changed everything. I started a journal dedicated to financial lessons. Here's how it works. After every setback, a missed opportunity, a poor purchase, a failed deal, take the time to write down exactly what happened. Don't rush. Be honest and precise. Next, reflect on why it happened. Was it lack of information, emotional impulse, poor timing, or something else? Finally, commit to what you will do differently next time. This act of reflection turns painful experiences into valuable knowledge. By making this journaling a habit, you create a personal library of wisdom tailored to your unique journey. It's a resource you can return to, preventing you from repeating the same mistakes and helping you refine your strategy. Wealth isn't just about earning more. It's about becoming wiser with each decision. This approach shifts your mindset from seeing mistakes as failures to viewing them as tuition, the price paid for education in the school of experience. Every millionaire has paid that tuition, and the difference is that they enrolled willingly and took notes. If you want to break free from poverty, start treating your financial setbacks as lessons rather than losses. Document them, analyze them, and grow from them. This simple discipline will sharpen your judgment, build your confidence, and ultimately multiply your wealth. Remember, success isn't about never falling. It's about getting up wiser and stronger each time. Discipline is often spoken about like it's some distant Herculean task reserved only for the superhuman. But the truth is, discipline is built one small victory at a time. Many people wait for a surge of motivation or a big opportunity to get their financial life in order, and that wait is exactly why they stay broke. Motivation is fleeting. Consistency, however, is the foundation of wealth. In my own journey, I learned that massive success didn't come from grand, isolated efforts, but from small, everyday actions repeated without fail. The secret is to pick one simple habit that moves you forward and commit to it daily. It could be saving just $10 a day, reading 10 pages of a good book, or walking for 20 minutes to clear your mind and maintain health. These might seem insignificant alone, but over time they become powerful compounding forces. When you save $10 daily, you might start by feeling it's too little to matter. But in a year, that small sum turns into over $3,500 money that can be invested, grown, and leveraged to create more wealth. Reading 10 pages daily doesn't seem like much, but in a year, you'll have read dozens of books, gaining knowledge that sets you apart in business and life. Walking daily keeps your energy high, focus sharp, and stress low, all critical for maintaining the mental stamina to pursue your financial goals. The challenge isn't in the size of the action, but in the refusal to skip it. Discipline is forged in the refusal to break your chain of success. When you don't miss a day, you're not just building a habit, you're building character and confidence. Each small win is a proof point that you can trust yourself, that you can follow through. This daily consistency creates momentum that carries you through tough days when motivation wanes. It turns wealth building from a daunting mountain climb into a series of manageable steps. Over time, the sum of these small victories is what separates those who remain stuck financially from those who rise to prosperity. Start today by choosing your one small habit. Commit to it daily, no matter how busy or tired you are. Celebrate the completion and use it as a stepping stone to add more habits. Remember, wealth isn't an event, it's a process, one small win at a time. Disciplined practice daily transforms dreams into reality. As we come to the close of our time together, I want you to understand that what we've talked about today is not just theory or some abstract philosophy. This is the practical blueprint for changing your life, for moving from where you are now to where you want to be. It's about shifting your mindset, sharpening your vision, and committing to daily actions that build your future. Let me remind you of one fundamental truth. Money is a consequence. It follows value. If you want to attract wealth, you must first increase your value in yourself, in your work, and in your service to others. When you become more valuable, you naturally command higher income, greater opportunities, and the respect that comes with genuine contribution. So many people focus on the money itself, chasing dollars like a dog chases its tail. But the rich know better. They don't think about money. They think about value. They think about how they can solve problems, improve lives, and offer something meaningful to the marketplace. That is the starting point of all true wealth. But value doesn't just appear overnight. It is cultivated through learning, through discipline, through reflection, and through action. That's why we talked about the power of daily thinking time. Setting aside quiet moments where you can journal your goals, reflect on your progress, and plan your next steps. Clarity is the foundation of success. If you don't know where you're going, how will you get there? Writing down your vision, your income targets, your investment goals is what turns a vague dream into a tangible destination. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. You can have the most brilliant ideas and the clearest vision, but without the daily commitment to action, those dreams remain just that, dreams. I've met people who know exactly what they want, but fail to move because they're waiting for perfect conditions or for motivation to strike. The truth is, discipline must come first. Motivation will follow. When you practice discipline, saving before spending, investing before buying, studying before acting, you build a momentum that carries you through the hard days, the setbacks, and the temptations to quit. Speaking of setbacks, remember that failure is not the enemy, it is your greatest teacher. The rich understand that every failure carries a lesson, a hidden profit if you have the eyes to see it. Instead of being crushed by mistakes, they write them down, analyze them, and improve. You too must turn your failures into feedback. Don't let your missteps define you. Let them refine you. Now, here is a crucial call to action for you. Commit today to becoming a student of value. Start asking yourself, what problems can I solve? What skills can I learn? How can I serve better? Take inventory of your current habits. Are you spending emotionally or saving strategically? Are you surrounded by people who elevate your thinking or who drag you down? Are you building multiple streams of income or relying on just one? Each of these questions holds the key to breaking free from scarcity and stepping into abundance. Begin by making a simple plan. Write it down. Allocate a portion of your income, even if small, to savings and investments before you pay any bills. Automate this if you can so it happens without debate or delay. Block 15 minutes daily for reflection and learning. Read books that challenge your mind and expand your understanding. Surround yourself with mentors and peers who inspire excellence. Remember, wealth is not about luck. It is about habits, choices, and mindset. It is about sowing seeds today that will bear fruit tomorrow. The richest people in the world are those who mastered the art of delayed gratification, who said no to fleeting pleasures so they could say yes to long-term prosperity. You may be tempted to say, I don't have enough money, time, or resources to start, but that's exactly why you must start now. Start where you are with what you have. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and those small, consistent steps are what lead to financial independence, freedom, and legacy. Let me share a truth I've lived by. Your income rarely exceeds your personal development. If you want to increase your income, you must first increase your capacity. Invest in yourself, your skills, your mindset, your health, your relationships. Become the person who attracts wealth because you offer value that cannot be ignored. In closing, the path to wealth is a path of intentional growth. It requires clarity of purpose, unwavering discipline, resilience through failure, and a relentless focus on increasing your value. It's not an easy path, but it's a rewarding one. And it's a path open to anyone willing to learn, apply, and persevere. So today, I challenge you to make a choice, to refuse the cycle of broke thinking and step into the millionaire mindset, to stop chasing money and start chasing value, to commit to becoming better, wiser, and more disciplined every single day, to build not just wealth for yourself, but a legacy that will bless generations. The secret laws that make millionaires wealthier every day are no secret at all. They're simple truths lived consistently. Let these truths guide you. Value comes first. Clarity directs your steps. Discipline builds your bridge. Failure teaches and refines. And consistent action creates momentum. Take these laws seriously. Apply them fiercely. And watch as your life begins to change in ways you never imagined possible. Your journey to wealth is waiting. The decision is yours. Make it today. Make it now. And remember, wealth follows value, but value must first be cultivated within you.